Welcome back to part 2 of the best story you've ever read in the probably worst way possible. This is indeed a part 2, so if you haven't seen part 1, make sure to go back and watch it because there's way too much lore you cannot miss here. And if you've watched part 1 already, great job! Let's refresh really quickly though. We have our main character, an elf named Arena, who is a fairy elf but doesn't quite know it yet. She is out of her home village right now with her two best friends, and she just got her wings back after they were stolen. And now they realize an attack by the murder elves is starting. And just at that moment is when we ended the last video. The stakes are up. The characters are in danger. What will happen next? Let's find out. 3, 2, 1, attack! Suddenly came from behind them. The friends turned around and saw an army of elves looking really mean. Shelley woke up from the yell and looked horrified. Murder elves! Everybody run and hide! Shelley yelled at the top of her lungs. Shelley, what is this? One moment you were selfish and evil and a girl boss with her newfound wings, and now you're protecting everybody? Do we even know her at this point? Also, that was one hell of a fast re-entrance for the murder elves. They were missing for 17 years? So maybe I hope we address some of the stuff they did between those two time points, but we won't. Murder elves? Who are they? Thought Arena out loud. Well, in some old history book we read in school, they are a kind of elf that can kill you if they touch you and say a magic word. They can't kill each other, though. This was one of my worst mistakes in my early writing, information coming out of nowhere. What old history book? And why are we just remembering this now? I feel like a mass genocide of a whole type of species of elf would be pretty remembered. Oh, so we better get away, concluded Hasina. And speaking of history, it also had a little about fairy elves who died out 17 years ago from murder elves. They have wings to fly and have magic of teleportation and flying and other little stuff. From the picture in the book, they looked like you, Arena. You just made that connection. The only type of elf that had wings and magic that supposedly looks like your best friend, and also you read about it long ago in grade school and you just now figured it out? Did they really not care that much about Arena having wings? They also had the same powers and died out when I was born? How could it possibly be? Am I a different type of elf? Was my elf type killed by these creatures below us? I must take revenge them! Kill them! Yelled Arena and started flying down, making a good plan. This is taking years off my life. What kind of jumping to conclusions rabbit hole spiel was that? And why was your first instinct at this chance that they killed your elf type to genuinely kill them all? What if she was wrong? And once again, so many questions. Where is all this information coming from? And why did it not float up years before? And lastly, she accepts the fact that she's a fairy elf, possibly, not even confirmed, way too fast. It's like literally one sentence of, hey, these guys kind of looked like you, to, I need to kill all of these elves to take revenge. Maybe she's a murder elf. Hey you, murder elves, I am the last fairy elf on Earth. Don't you want to kill me? Arena started screaming. Go get her, the commander said. Suddenly, the whole army, the whole murder elf village, ran after Arena, who was flying 1 meter off the ground. She headed towards the noise elf village, remembering the history book she and Jack read. What history book, Arena? What history book? You don't seem to know anything about elf types if you had never even considered the possibility of being a different type of elf. Also again, 1 arbitrary meter off the ground. These murder elves are short guys. No wonder they're so angry all the time. I have to find that hole, she told herself, looking back to make sure she was still being followed. I must. At last, the big hole Arena fell into when her wings were stolen was within Arena's view. She flew over it and turned around to see if her plan worked. No! The murder elves just ran around the hole, still chasing poor Arena. She quickly flew around a little more and then again flew over the hole. This time, what she wanted happened. The elves got too concentrated in chasing her to notice the hole. They all fell into the deep hole and could not get out. Yes, it worked, celebrated Arena. Now all we have to do is bury the hole and kill the murder elves. So violent out of nowhere, I swear. These elves had a whole ass elf war one and only killed one person, and now this random 17-year-old is trying to mass kill a whole species of them? I guess they might have killed her entire species, but she doesn't know that, and it still seems out of character for both Arena, the little tiny cutesy elf, and elves as a whole who don't kill, like, ever. Just straight burying them alive. God damn. After that was done, Arena asked Ella and Lex that meaningful question that she had planned to ask ever since finding out about fairy elves. Am I adopted? She asked after the celebration of the death of murder elves. Ella and Lex looked at each other. Yes, my dear. Lex and I found you at our doorstep when you were just a baby. You were in a wood basket with a leaf in your hands. The leaf had writing on it. It said Arena. So we named you that and adopted you. We soon understood you were a fairy elf, the last one alive. We never met your parents. They're probably dead, explained Ella. That night, Arena, Jack, and Hasina met again in the forest. Arena has talked them into another adventure, this time less dangerous. They were going to the fairy elf village in search of a surviving fairy elf. They went in the same direction to get the air sorcerer to use it in the adventure. When they found it, they rolled it outside the forest and looked around for the fairy elf village. There it was, with the forest surrounding it too. When they got into the village, which was deserted for decades, it looked eerie. After looking into every single house and shouting Arena's name, the last house really surprised Arena. The house had photos on the walls of two people who looked like her. This is my parents' house, squealed Arena. I know it is. Okay, I know this is going a little bit fast. We just brutally murdered the main antagonist of this story, and we're done with that and going off on a mini secondary adventure to the fairy elf village. Why would a surviving fairy elf stay there for all that time? 17 years? Any surviving fairy elves would have had the time to leave and get help. There is no way anybody is gonna be in that village. Then the three friends looked behind the house. Suddenly, Jack noticed something weird in a huge, dense tree. Arena, could you please fly up in that tree? I think I saw something, he called. When Arena looked into the tree's dense leaves, she almost fainted from happiness. On the tree's branches, which looked like a wavy floor, were the two people in the photos, and with them were two little alike toddlers. When the woman looked up, she almost fainted too. Arena, she asked with disbelief, recognizing the shade of brown hair and eyes. Yes, Mom, is that you? Arena asked back with teary eyes. Yes, but Arena, there are murder elves. How did you get past them? It's so dangerous, was what Mel asked. It's been 17 goddamn years. You cannot still be genuinely thinking murder elves are still out to get you. Your daughter is almost a full-grown adult. That's how long it's been, and I don't know how the heck you recognize her. And you had another set of kids while in that tree? That's crazy. See, I think that's the craziest part of the story. Forget the murder elves having a kid while in like a bunker, basically. The murder elves are dead. I killed them. Now get out of here with Dad and the toddlers. It's all safe, was her answer. When the family got out, Then Mel, Alex, and the toddlers, Mary and Ben, were sat down in the air sorcerer's bin and rolled home, as they had barely eaten the last couple of years and were weak. Why did they have another set of kids while in hiding? They're goddamn malnourished and have never set foot outside this apple tree supposedly, which I don't know how they survived. That's bonkers. These kids were so unnecessary to the story. Literally, they have zero dialogue, zero nothing. I just input them in there for absolutely no reason, and it pisses me off now. Also, I hate how fast Arena starts using mom and dad labels for these fairies, bro. She just met them. It was still 5 in the morning, so everyone was still asleep. The family was fed and the friends let them sleep on their beds. When the village woke up, what happened was explained. The family was allowed to stay. And not only that, but the noise elf builders were sent to remake the whole fairy elf village. The whole village for just one family? This whole village just accepting that this species of elf thought to be extinct for nearly 2 decades is just back. Logic? Who needs that? If we look into the future in 20 years, you will find a great happy ending. The fairy elves were saved and recovered. All elf types came back together into one marvelous kingdom. Mermelves and lyre elves are not allowed to contact now. Alright, I'm kinda nervous on how they were recovered if there's only one family left. I did notice that like the mermelf and the lyre elf made a new type of species, so maybe like a fairy elf and a mermaid elf could like have a 50-50 chance of making a fairy elf or a mermelf. I don't know elf genetics, sorry. Now, get ready for this next trick though. Are you ready? 'Cause I don't think you are. Buckle in your freaking seatbelt for this next single sentence. And, best of all, as the hero of the kingdom, Arena became the marvelous kingdom's queen. The end. Alright, that's it. Last sentence, just... Hey y'all, whole different day, but I found it. I wasn't sure if I was gonna, which is why I didn't tell all of you guys, but I did find it. This is the notebook in which I planned like a good couple stories, including Seeking Truth. So we're gonna look through that real quick because there is some lore that is absolutely not mentioned in the story itself that's pretty damn interesting. In the very first few pages of this notebook, we get some character descriptions. Let's read those real quick. The first interesting thing I noticed is that her name isn't spelled Arena, but just Erin. So Arena's or Erin's backstory is said as the following. After the fairy elves died out, one was left, Erin. She was left in Ella and Lex's house, who became her parents. She knows she's unique and special, but not the fact that she's adopted. Because of her ability to fly, Erin is curious and adventurous. And again, I noticed that here even, her flying gives her some sort of personality. It changes who she is. However, in the story, it's hardly addressed except for when the wings get stolen and they have to win them back. Next is Ella Lambert. Ella has always lived in the Noise Elf village. She loves adventures and teached it to Erin. She married Lex. A few months later, she adopted Erin. Then 3 weeks later after, she gave birth to Jack. What a happy mother. I hate how it's not even a backstory, it's just exactly what happens in the story itself. Next is Lex Lambert, and his backstory is the most unhinged out of all of them. Rarely leaves his house. When he does, wears mask or hoodie. Nobody knows much about him except his family, but they never talk about him. Rumors are he is not a noise elf, but family assures it is not true. None of this is addressed in the actual story. This was so out of nowhere. When I reread it, I was like kind of confused. Literally, this guy has 0 lines of dialogue in the story itself. There is no mention of any mask or any mystery at all. He's just like an absent dad who I just forgot to mention as the author. Next up is Jack Lambert, her brother. Jack was born 3 weeks after Aaron was adopted, making him a little brother. He loves his family and also does not know that Aaron is adopted. Aaron and him love to go on adventures and look at unknown things the same way, soon to be explored. They know the forest around Noise Elf Village inside out and back again. Next up we got Hasina. Has a normal life, a family, house, and Aaron as a best friend. She sometimes joins her and Jack in their adventures, but they might sound scary for her at times. When she does go, her bond strengthens with Arena and Jack. She's a big optimist and never gives up. No, because why are we genuinely just throwing shit in that we did not show in the story at all? Next up is Shelly Sand, a fan favorite. And guess what? In this version, the Shelly is crossed out, and it's actually just Shell Sands, the full name, which is so much worse, bro. Shelly, I know I shit on it last video, but at least it had some sort of ring to it. Just Shell Sand, come on. We can be a little bit more creative here. Anyways, let's read the backstory for Shell Sand, who is a man in this story. Shelly is a malicious mermelf with the wish to fly. He ends up finding Aaron and taking her wings with quite ease. Bring back Shelly Sand, the girl boss icon who gets what she wants. Next up, we got the other villagers in Stolen Magic. For the other villagers, we just have names, and holy moly are they the most atrocious names of all time. Trumper, Lana, Moworks, Walliana, Moner, Donera, Eric, Alice, Andre, Ellie, Mike, Katie, and Cole. None of these villagers are mentioned. I just named them for the love of the game with the worst possible letters of combinations of all time. And then my favorite part. We've got a chart of every type of elf, a description of their powers, and what percent of them is evil. So let's just take a look at that. And then lastly, I've got the cover draft. It's pretty awesome, like low-key good design. It's like split into 3. It's got like brave eyes and shit. What a beautiful story. It really teaches you the message about, I'm not sure, but it's deep, okay? It's deep. And I have a ton more stories. So if you want to hear those, make sure to like and subscribe. Especially subscribe, because that's pretty awesome. But yep, otherwise, I think this is it for me today. My name is Sawyer Casper, and I am saying bye-bye!